Guys, welcome back to GTech Motorworks. Today we're going to be speaking about some common faults with the BMW M135i fitted with the N55 engine. So guys, firstly we got rocker cover gasket, very common fault on most BMWs. On the N55 it's quite a common issue, we see quite a few of these. So not a massive job to do, guys. If you're brave, you could do it at home or bring it to the BMW specialist in Derby or another workshop. They can get it sorted for you. Next thing guys, we have got oil filter housing and oil cooler. We see quite a few of these in our workshop, guys, leaking. Now the big issue with these is when the oil coolers leak, the oil drips down and goes straight to the auxiliary belt. Now when it does that, it basically softens the belt, starts to slip on the tensioner, and we've seen a few where they pop off the tensioner, wrap themselves around the crank and put it straight through your sump. Big repair, expensive repair. If you're doing a general maintenance on your car, guys, look down there. If it's leaking, get it fixed. Next, we have got charge pipe, guys, intake charge pipe. A lot of lads like to get these tuned and mapped. They're awesome cars, they go really quick. Charge pipes will crack, they will fail, so uprate them. We usually uprate them with CP ones. Common fault, they always fail. Next, guys, we're moving on to the water pump and thermostat. See loads of these all the time. Electronic water pump, they always fail. It will literally take 2 minutes to cook one of these, guys. What I mean by that, your head gasket will go, see you later, it'll be gone. Thermostat, water pump, make sure they're working properly. They usually throw a fault code up because it's electronic. Fans usually come on and stay on. BMWs have got an issue with the bloody temperature gauge. They don't really have one inside, unless they're the newer ones. So the earlier engines, the N54s, the twin turbos, had the turbo rattle. This one doesn't have that single turbo, it's now fixed. That's all cool. So generally, guys, other than that, they're pretty solid cars. But the reason we've got this vehicle in the video today here with us is because going on from the water pump actually failed on this car. So we replaced it. But the customer came to us with a misfire fault originally. Now, obviously, we did a bit of background information into it and we asked the customer and said, is it one cylinder or is it all the time? And he said, look, I've had a misfire for a good couple of months now. Took it to a few other garages and they've basically said, yeah, your coils are gone, you need new plugs. And I said, how many new plugs have you had? He's had 2 sets of plugs in it and 2 sets of coils. So at which point I said, have you had a compression test done? And he said, no. So guys, the first thing to do, a compression test will tell you massive things about the engine, what's going on inside. If your valves are bent, a leak in there via the piston rings or anything like that, it'll basically tell you the condition of each cylinder, what's going on. So what we did, guys, is obviously we removed the coils, we removed the plugs, and we basically did a compression test. Prior to that, we scanned it, obviously, and it was coming up with one specific cylinder, which was cylinder 3. So when it's a specific cylinder, that gives you a little bit of a cause for concern. You can narrow it down by obviously checking the coils and checking the plugs to see what they're like. But ultimately, I would just do a compression test to see what's going on. So we did a compression test, guys. We put the gauge in cylinder number 1. We got one of the techs to crank the engine over, and guess what? Cylinder number 3 came flying out with coolant and covered everything. Just missed me. I jumped out of the way. That's a big problem, guys. There should be no fluid coming out of there at all. Yeah? A combustion, you know, the cylinder should just have nothing inside it. Maybe a little bit of fuel or unburnt fuel or whatever, but nothing inside it. So there's clearly an issue with either the cylinder head or the engine block, at which point had to tell the poor customer, we're going to have to strip the engine with your authorization to get to the bottom of the issue. So we did. As you can see on the block, guys, there's a massive crack on cylinder number 3 where the coolant comes out of, and it's meant to cool the engine, bottom of the head and the top of the block. Basically, anything metal, when it's expanded with heat, it expands. Same with the engines, when they get hot they expand. If there's a hairline crack in the block like there was with this one, obviously it's expanding, leaking coolant into cylinder number 3, killing the compression, killing the spark, causing the misfire. So we got down to the root cause of it. Unfortunately, the guy had to have another engine fitted, but we replaced all the parts we've just spoken about with a new water pump, thermostat. We checked the charge pipe, that was fine, and we did the rocker cover gasket and everything else. So guys, stay tuned for more information. If you need anything else, G-Tech Motorworks, Derby's BMW, Volkswagen Audi Group Specialist, N55 M135i, common faults.